Chapter 9, this concerns managing inventory. We'll talk about three things. One is, what is inventory and what does it provide? The second is, what are some of the basic decisions companies can make that help to control inventory? And we'll finish off with an example. So what is inventory? Well, inventory comprises materials, things that go into the system, part completed services or part made products, and finished items. What then is the role and why do we have it? Well, the first thing to recognize is that typically it's a very large item on the balance sheet, and it brings a lot of gains. It reduces lead times because material is already there. And in fact, in the case of finished goods, it enables immediate delivery. So all of you experience online purchasing and a product is with you in a few days. That can only be where in fact the finished goods exists. So the real key then is to try and keep inventory as low as possible in terms of its total value, but still to gain these important advantages. Because one is lead time and the other is the more we buy, we'll get discounts on cost. So we're trying to keep a balance between serving the needs of markets, lead times and price through lower costs, yet keeping this importantly big asset under control. So what are some of the basic models that we can use? Well, the book introduces two important differences. One is the decision whether we make to order or we make to stock. Make to order means that the product or service is only made once a customer order is received. You can see that this choice means that I only need to commit resources and commit materials and buy materials once actually the order is received, which means those items stay in my system just as long as it takes me to complete them, and then they go to the customer and I receive payment. The other alternative is making to stock. That is, I make ahead of demand. The advantages I get here are that I can immediately respond to a customer order. So I have great gains in terms of meeting their short lead times. The downside is that I hold that inventory and all the attendant costs. The third part of this is to give you an example. Let's take a restaurant. If you're having a main course that comprises meat and vegetables, you can see that the vegetables are prepared beforehand. And the key is to make sure that you have enough vegetables to meet the demand for that evening, but not too many vegetables, otherwise they go to waste. So what I'm doing there is making that item partly and then finishing it as the demand occurs. But if you're also having a fillet steak, then you can see that the meat in fact is not prepared until in fact the order is received. So in that particular case, what happens is that any meat that isn't used goes back into the freezer section to be used the following day. But then also you want a sweet or a pudding. You can see in fact that these are going to be made ahead of time. And the balance is between making sufficient to meet demand so that all the choices are available, but not making too many because in fact they will spoil and I will have to throw them away as waste. So you can see that the balancing of inventory depends upon what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to keep lead times down so that people are served at the restaurant in reasonable times, but in fact making sure that not too much inventory is made because that will in fact incur costs.